I set boundaries with my GF, she ignores them and then labels my complaints as abuse. Hi all. I live with my girlfriend in an apartment we rent. I make a lot more money than her, so I pay more rent, pay for the cleaner, etc. I also pay for most dinners outside, but overall I'm still strict with money and expect her to pay her way up to a point because I don't want to be used. At home I feel like she gets to have more rights than I do. I for example have to turn all lights and devices off when she wants to sleep. But if I want to sleep earlier than her, then she will keep all lights on despite my protests, and if I complain she'll get upset. I also barely have any space in the place, and most of the stuff is hers. If I were to move out, it would barely be noticeable. If she were to move out, it would look like no one even lived here. I also have to always wear headphones when I watch movies or shows or YouTube, but she gets to blast her reality TV on the big screen TV in the living room, which makes me unable to do anything and have to retreat to the bedroom with a closed door and headphones on to drown out the noise. She could just as easily watch it on her laptop with headphones. Her phone is also always on loud and she gets messages literally every 3 minutes, so it's ping ping ping, and I can't stand it. The amount of times I've told her to just keep it on silent doesn't seem like it matters. With working from home, that makes it difficult to focus on my work and career, which is what actually affords us this life to begin with. Anyway, when I call out the double standard and say that I want to have peace and quiet in my own home, she starts saying those are abusive messages. I literally don't even swear in the messages, or say anything negative about her. Just about the situation and how it affects me. She always brings in the relationship status by implicitly threatening it, e.g., if living with me is so unbearable then I think we should reconsider more than our rent split, after I mentioned that I don't want to be paying more rent for fewer rights. She also gets personal very quickly, calling me insane, saying stuff like, "Why don't you just go play your video games like you always do?" Or, "Just go lay in bed and do nothing as usual. Most of your life is horizontal." Neither of these are true BTW. I want to get my private pilot's license, and before committing I am learning on a flight simulator at home. I play no other games, and I am a high-earning director with top-tier education. I do boxing, I surf, I have consistently weight lifted for more than a decade. I play golf, have a ton of other non-sport hobbies, and I've lived, worked or studied, in 9 countries on 5 continents, so to say that I do nothing just because in my culture we have siestas is just a lie, but it still impacts my self-esteem. Is it abuse to get upset that someone is not being considerate of your needs? I don't even know anymore. Feel like I'm either being gaslit, or I don't have a good grasp of reality. I don't know if this context matters at all, but she's from a millionaire family, grew up in a mansion where she lived until she was 27, and got showered with whatever she wanted, until she had a big fallout with her family and got evicted. Since then she'd been living with her brother to be able to cover rent etc. Until she and I moved in together. I'm the first boyfriend she lives with. Sounds like you won't be the last boyfriend she lives with. Sounds like she's just not a good girlfriend. Also, her spoiled upbringing means it's not likely that she'll appreciate what you are doing for her as far as the living situation goes. It sounds like you have a lot going for you. I would move on if I were you. Focus on your hobbies and living alone in a peaceful home. Then find someone compatible. Bro. My man. Why are you with her? Are there any upsides? She seems entitled, degrading, inconsiderate, and obnoxious. The only reasons I can think of that you'd be with her anyway is if she's crazy hot or really good in bed. Even if that's the case, that wouldn't be enough of a reason for me to stick around. Go find yourself an actual partner instead of a spoiled child. She is abusive. Why are you tolerating it? So are there also good sides of this relationship? Because from what you say I don't understand why you're still together. Seems like you both resent each other for existing in the same place. That tells you everything you need to know then. She's spoiled and is only interested in her benefit. Trash the skank and move on, enjoy life. Even if she makes the house look empty when she's left, you seem well adjusted enough to enjoy your quiet and independence. So you are a second-class person in your home. She won't be changing. Time to end it before you go nuts trying to keep up with her demands. She doesn't respect you. You feel that your relationship is unequal because she places expectations on you that she herself and you respect those requests. Meanwhile, she does not respect when you request the same from her. You are compromising for her, but she doesn't do the same for you. This is a relationship ender to me. You are not being abusive. Your desires are not unreasonable. It seems like you have already tried to communicate your needs to her and she is brushing them aside. This is a deal breaker. Have some respect for yourself and leave. Not to mention her behavior towards you seems as though you are being gaslit when you bring up your concerns. Update. I just kicked out my boyfriend of 3 years after being his live-in maid for 2 years. Edit. Since it's not clear for some, and I have to be careful of my phrasing. I'm looking for people who have went through the same situation. I'm already in therapy. I plan to continue to go, but is it just lesson learned, try again? How did you move past after a relationship like this? First, to the douche who claimed I was karma farming. I hope you face minor inconveniences for the rest of your life. Same to the asshat who compared me to the Tinder swindler. Seriously, just kick me while I'm down because you're not getting enough attention. Anyways, to those who offered support, thank you. I posted that an hour after he gave me back my keys. I was heartbroken and confused. I didn't expect anything to come from it. I cried myself to sleep shortly after, and that's why I didn't respond. It was 9:30 p.m. when this all happened. Secondly, since I cannot reply to that post and mods are ignoring me, I figured I'd make an update and respond to repetitive questions, comments. 1. How would I not know in the first year of us dating? Considering he previously lived with his cousin, paid rent, and was the primary cleaner/organizer in that living situation, I didn't consider it. I didn't start seeing a lack of initiative until 11 months after he moved in. This idea that red flags will always show up immediately is false. As a victim of DV, prior to this relationship, my abuser wasn't outright nasty. It took years before he started showing signs of being mentally abusive that progressed to physical altercations. Before he moved in, I gave him my terms. He needed to have a job, transportation, and be able to pay half of the bills. He agreed to those terms and happily did his part for quite some time. 2. Yes, we had multiple conversations throughout our relationship. I would try and talk to him and explain how I felt like his mother instead of his partner. He would correct it for a short time before going back to his old ways. This last time I had enough and started packing his things into trash bags. He hadn't helped me pay a bill towards the house for 6 months. I let it slide because he paid for other things like groceries and takeout on occasion. 3. Yes, everything of his is gone. He has nothing in my home anymore. I have all of my keys back, and even stopped him from taking some of the items I paid for. I helped him pack down to his toothbrush and soap. He has no reason to be in my home anymore. What hurt me the most is he didn't even put up the fight. He just accepted it. We never had a formal, "we're over now." It was just, "You're not helping me and I need you to leave." Last I heard, he's living with his best friend who he also mooches off of. It's only a matter of time. 4. This idea that he previously had a mother who did everything for him is false. He came from a troubled background and a drug addict mother. He was raised by his older brother until he passed away when my ex-partner was 11. He raised himself until he was 16 and then was later given to his grandmother by the state when CPS was alerted when he was 15. His grandmother was 85 then. She couldn't do much, so he was taking care of her at 16. His grandmother passed when he was 20, and that's when he moved in with his cousin. He never really had a person to take care of him. It's not something he was used to, and it's probably why he enjoyed it so much. I'm at this point in my life where I don't know what to do anymore. This man was with me through several major life events. He was with me when I discovered I was infertile. He was with me when I had to help my childhood dog over the Rainbow Bridge, and he was very much our fur child. He stood by my side when I confronted my abuser in court so I could have a permanent restraining order. No, he wasn't all bad. He just had shitty communication skills and liked to play victim because of his poor past. Original post. I, 28, F. Just kicked out my boyfriend, 28, M, of 3 years. I'm tired of doing everything. I felt like his mother rather than his girlfriend. He wasn't helping me out around the home or with bills, like he promised me he would. We lived together for 2 years and I can only count on one hand how many times he helped me out with a bill, food or groceries. I don't even know if we're still together at this point. I just wanted him out of my house. Yes, my house is in my name. The mortgage, utilities, property. Everything is in my name. He only owned maybe a truckload of things. Everything else is mine. Anytime I asked for help around the house or I asked him to do something, it was like pulling teeth. I was always bitching at him. I always asked nicely and then eventually yes after the third, fourth, fifth time of asking I did get aggravated and bitchy. Most of the time I'd end up doing it myself and struggling. He claimed I would talk down to him, but he has called me stupid on multiple occasions for asking a simple question. I was consistently cleaning and picking up after him. He would claim he was going to get to it or didn't see it. I experimented one time to see how long it would take for him to clean up after himself, and I ended up caving after a week because I got tired of working around the mess and looking at it. Communicating with him is like talking to a brick wall. He would have a mental breakdown or just not answer me when I would ask simple questions. Who was that? Where are you going? He claimed because he's a prior criminal, petty crimes when he was a teen, he's straightened up now, that it made him feel like he was being interrogated. I grew up with parents who would tell one another things. They'd always call or go tell the other where they were going and how long they'd be. I told him time and time again I'd ask questions because I cared and wanted to know, not because I was being judge and jury. I wanted to know in case something happened and he didn't come home. He doesn't see it that way though. In a lot of instances he's always right and everyone else is stupid. He's wise because he had a poorer upbringing than most. I don't think he was sad about leaving me. He was more sad that he'd no longer live in a nice house with a live-in maid. I helped him financially, I cooked for him, did his laundry, picked up after him. I had enough. I did more than enough for him and got hardly anything in return. I'm pissed at myself for being so gullible. I'm pissed for allowing more of my time to be wasted. I wish my friend would do this. She works 40 hours a week, comes home and cooks, cleans, then does a deep clean on Sundays, shovels when it snows, mows the lawns. Her husband works part-time and that's it. He's extremely lazy and he takes advantage of her. Then he gets mad when she doesn't want to go to bed at the same time. He wants her in bed because it makes him feel comfortable. He doesn't care about her feelings at all. He cares more about his comfort than he does her. She is an amazing person and I wish she could see how horrible she was being treated. She's trying to fix the marriage on her own. He does nothing to help. Good for you for kicking him out. You deserve better. You go, girl. Women of Reddit. If a guy is not good to you, kick him to the curb. Seriously. Take yourself to therapy. You were in a relationship with an abuser and now a deadbeat. You probably had poor relationship models just like your ex did. Take the time to figure out why you're attracted to men who can't love you back. Good for you, but I would change the locks in case he ever made a key. And put up a security cam facing the door, just in case. Relationship dynamics change when people move in together. He changed to a crud roommate. You can talk all you want, but if it ain't working, then it ain't working. He could be there for you because it meant he could focus his energies on something internal and to not deal with his own problems. Take some time for yourself. Hugs. I'm so proud of you. Things get better in time. You'll be less tired because you won't be cleaning up after another person. You'll be better off financially because you won't be spending as much for a household of one. You'll feel better about yourself because you won't be someone else's unpaid maid. In time, you'll be happier than you thought you could be. And then you'll find someone who will put in the effort because they'll know you're worth it. I'm proud of you. I know it hurts now, but give yourself time. I'm sorry about the loss of your dog. Maybe it's time to get a new dog or a cat. Give all that love to a critter who will appreciate it. You'll be okay. It's just raw right now. But do have your locks changed. He may have made copies. I relate to this post so much after recently getting out of a 4-year relationship like this. The biggest problem though was that our foundation was built on trauma bonding and I had no confidence, which led to it taking so long for me to realize it was shit. He owes me a few thousand, lived at my house rent-free and was unemployed for half our relationship. To top it off, I paid for everything including the holidays for my own birthdays. I wish you the best in your healing journey. Mine only started about 2 months ago, so it's still fresh. Best thing that has helped me is realizing what I don't want in my next relationship and that I can make it on my own. Try put energy into hobbies and things that make you happy. Take all this freedom you have and treat yourself hard. My wife keeps telling my stepdaughter I am her dad. I have been married over a year to my wife. We have our ups and downs, but we are both still committed to one another. My wife has a child out of wedlock and I love the child, but I am not her dad. My wife keeps telling the child that I am her dad, which is not true. My wife also keeps trying to alienate the child from her biological father and grandmother, who is immature, but not a bad person. Any advice? Edit. I really do my best to treat the child like my own and consider myself a guardian or special person in the child's life and would love to be a dad. I just don't want to confuse the child or cause her any harm to her relationship with her bio dad. You need to talk to her and tell her she needs to put whatever feelings about her ex aside and do what is in her daughter's best interest, and you will not be part of her parental alienation campaign. Why are you with a woman that you admit is trying to alienate their child from the father? My wife also keeps trying to alienate the child from her biological father. Tell her you're not okay with this. You do know if you have kids and split, she's perfectly capable of doing it to you. Tell her you find her actions to be alienating and she should facilitate the relationship between father and child. Tell the kid the truth. Fight the lies with simple facts. Tell the kid, I'm not your dad, Billy is your dad. I didn't even know your mom when you were born. Billy was your mom's boyfriend then. That's why Billy's family, like Grandma Elise, love you so much. They were around when you were born. They will always remember that special time when you were a baby, and they are so proud of you and want you to be happy. I'm just a stepdad. I haven't known you very long. Hopefully the longer we know each other, the more special times we will have. But I can never be your dad because Billy is your dad. The father is immature? I bet he is not the one lying to the child. Talk with her. Good luck. The only thing I can recommend is to put your foot down and tell her to stop lying to the kid. That you love the child, but this isn't good for her and can only end badly. It appears from your post that you've involved yourself with one of those women. And maybe have some tough roads ahead. You're stuck with the vindicative ex. My 35F boyfriend, 36M, of nearly 10 years is seriously considering going to Ukraine. He's been passionate about the conflict for a long time, well before the invasion. He feels so strongly for the people of Ukraine and hates that they aren't getting more help. Last night he told me that he's researching the best way to go there and fight. I love his compassion. I feel the same way about the poor people out there who are fighting or fleeing for their lives. However, I was a little blindsided by this sudden announcement, and I'm not sure if how I'm feeling is selfish of me. I'm in school full-time, not working. His income is what keeps our small household afloat. I have no family in this state, though I'm close with his mom and dad. He's been struggling with his career. It's a job he's had for 16 years that was completely upended due to management changes. He doesn't feel like he belongs there anymore, and it's been really tough on him. I can't help but feel he's wanting to do something like go off to fight in Ukraine as a way to make him feel like he's doing something that matters. To me that feels drastic. And, the part that's making me feel selfish, I feel like he didn't consider me or our personal lives at all in his decision. In the big picture, is our relationship and comfort more important than all the lives being affected in Ukraine right now? Of course not. But for me, him and our relationship and our home is my world, and him leaving and potentially dying would absolutely destroy me. I guess I'm not so much looking to validate my feelings. They are what they are. But I'm curious how you all would handle this. A little more background: we don't have kids and aren't planning on any. We have 2 cats, a dog, and a bunch of fish for children instead. We are currently renting. While my family isn't here, I do have a great support system in the area. It's an honorable idea, but unless he's had military training or any combat training, he would probably die. Or get sent back home. I briefly considered going too, but my out-of-shape middle-aged ass would simply be a burden. It's not selfish to want him to stay home with his family and be safe. There are other ways to help. I have a family friend who's currently in Ukraine trying to leave and get home. I'm telling you from hearing about what it's actually like over there. 1. It's going to be nearly impossible to get in. Flights aren't exactly common right now. 2. His one-person macho act isn't going to help against tanks and fighter jets. He's just going to become another body they need to keep alive, or, more likely if he's throwing himself into combat, need to identify. And 3. He's going to be a lot more helpful, focusing his time and energy on getting resources in and helping get people out. Sounds like a midlife crisis to me. Sounds like it's not a rational decision to me. This is not a practical plan. There are people suffering around the world who need help, and always have been. There are many ongoing conflicts and even a couple of genocides, where people need help. I would be trying to look at the underlying issues and address them, because this just sounds like someone clinging to a crutch as a way of dealing with his problems. Unless your boyfriend has military experience, he will just be another body in their way. Your boyfriend will probably lose his job, get stuck in Poland until he can get a flight back. Then when he gets back, you will have to figure out unemployment and how to pay the rent. It isn't selfish, it is logical. Your boyfriend needs to focus on why he is miserable at work and make changes that reduce his urge to abandon his life to chase after dreams of glory and war. My husband is a retired combat veteran. He was in the army for 15 years prior to us being married and served in both Afghanistan and Iraq. We have been married for 10 years and have a son. As soon as Russia invaded, he sent off his resume to some of the private contracting companies he has worked for in the past without even mentioning it to me. He really wants to go and it's all he's been talking about. It scares the shit out of me and I know he can handle himself in combat. So I definitely can relate to how you are feeling. Part of me thinks there is no way your boyfriend will get there without being hired on with a group of contractors. And the chance of him getting hired with no combat experience is pretty low. But I am sure it is still scary for you to think he may find a way. I'd honestly try to get the point across that although Ukraine needs support, you also need his support. He has a life with you. He can raise charitable funds for the cause where he is. Maybe help him set up a fundraiser instead of him leaving for UKR. Explain he can help them from home. Edit. Also, it's not selfish at all. You have a life together. Wanting to keep that together isn't selfish at all. Don't believe you're selfish for a second. Tears of joy now come on WTH. Does he expect his ass to get done in Ukraine?